Well, we tend to review a lot of things from the good old US of A, but something's been taking the world by storm that isn't from the great USA. And that is a film from China called The Wandering Earth.
China.
From China. We're already starting the China jokes already. It is number 3 in the all-time world box office of this year so far. So, with all this talk, with all this money, what do these two think of it? Is it worth that number 3 spot? We'll find out on a very Wandering Earth edition of The Review. Troy, we're broadcasting live from a jet engine.
That's right.
Attached to the Earth.
On our way on a collision course to Jupiter.
Oh my god. Spoilers.
Not really. It's in the synopsis
really.
on
Yeah,
Netflix. It's like the first sentence in the synopsis. Hey, welcome to the review show where two small town dudes give you our big collision opinions. I'm Troy to the Max Extreme.
I'm from a world where science doesn't exist.
Super science exists, though. I'll tell you what.
Just wait.
More on that at the top of the hour.
We'll talk about that.
We got
It's a giant hole in my sock.
doozy for you. I found out I had a huge hole in one of my socks the other day, but the other one was fine. Felt like an idiot. I hate it when my socks aren't the same. They either both have to have holes or none of them can have holes.
See, I was the same way, and then I just got lazy with laundry, so I just throw all my socks in the one drawer, and then I'm just like, yeah, you look similar.
More sock talk at 11.
Sock talk!
So yeah, we are reviewing Wandering Earth later in the show.
Yeah.
How's it stack up?
It's free on Netflix if you haven't watched it yet.
That's right. Oh, I was going to look up something. Maybe I'll do it while you're doing your news. Just one little tidbit of info.
Okay.
But before we even get into any of that,
What?
before we get into the blockbuster that nobody's heard about, that's made a bunch of money this year,
Yeah.
we're going to talk about some other news. Maybe some more topical stuff that maybe people can get behind.
Yeah. Some news that's not maybe China-based.
Mine isn't.
Okay.
China-based, that is.
Okay. No China-based?
Not yet.
China-based?
Is that a song?
Yeah.
Is that a shirt?
Is that a song?
Say, hey, do you remember last week when you came over and we were just like chatting in the living room before we recorded?
Yeah.
I said that in the upcoming like Guardians movie, they should get Zac Efron to be why am I drawing a blank on his name? Adam Warlock.
Oh, yeah.
So, no shit, Screen Rant
Uh-oh.
had an article of Zac Efron mocked up as Adam Warlock in the last few days' news bits,
Uh-oh.
which makes me think my house is bugged.
Your house is... It's that Google Home.
Ah, shit, I knew it.
Did you say, okay, Google, Zac Efron should be...
No, don't listen, Google, no!
Google, shut up!
Oh, thank you.
Uh-oh. I said it pretty...
Happy to help.
Oh, we dodged a big-ass bullet there. So
I'm
anyway...
expecting some red recticle to come through.
Yeah, just the walls start closing in on us.
Yeah.
Freaking New Hope style, garbage dump style.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought that was a bit uncanny, and I like to think that I'm on the same page as a fucking news streaming site. So I guess that don't make me feel good at all, really.
Maybe you unconsciously work for them.
Ah, shit.
You just sleepwalk into their offices, and then you're just like...
Yeah, well, where have those checks been?
You like that scene from Step Brothers where you're just like, oh, Warlock.
The clown and no penis. Moving on to some maybe Disney news here, JT. I got actually a lot of Disney news, but it's not very hard to find Disney news nowadays because they own everything.
It owns everything.
More on that. just
Yeah.
a second.
Yeah.
But you know how they're remaking and spinning off all of like the evil people in their own live action films?
Yes.
Also, more on that later.
Yeah.
Christ on a cross. Well,
Are you getting the feeling that just everything is the same in entertainment now?
yes! And you can just fucking say anything, and as long as there's Disney in the sentence, they're probably doing it.
Yeah.
Anyway, Emma Thompson is rumored to play Cruella de Vil
Yeah.
in probably the Cruella movie that they're going to be doing.
No Glenn Close.
No Glenn Close. You know, I caught a bit of that because I'm trying to show Macy something else. So I was like, you know what? She likes dogs and animals. Why don't I watch 101 Dalmatians?
Yeah.
It's got animals in it. At
Yeah.
least 101 of them.
Yeah.
So the dogs don't come for a long time. And so she lost interest very quickly. But the movie was charming me a little bit.
Yeah.
And then at my mom and dad's house, I watched the animated version of it, and I thought it was pretty good. Like, I didn't
Yeah.
see the whole thing, but chunks
Yeah.
of it, and I'm like, I think I like this more now than I ever did as a kid.
Oh, shit.
But then again, if I watched it on repeat like 100,000 times, I'd probably like,
Yeah.
F this movie in its A. But then
Well,
again,
I'm telling you, if you want to show her something that has animals in it, try and find The Adventures of Milo and Otis.
you quote that movie. Well, you quote one quote from that movie
It's the only one I remember.
enough that I'm like, I don't care for that movie, and I've
Wait.
never seen it.
Where are you going, Milo?
Where are you going, Milo? That's all I hear from you is Milo this, and where is he? Let me just jump over to some more Disney news while I'm on the Disney train here. This is a big one.
Yeah.
So I'm going to sandwich a
Bombshell.
bombshell right in the middle of my news here. So Disney is going to be gaining control, total control, mind you.
Absolute control.
That's right. Of Hulu after a deal with Comcast.
Yeah.
So, at first, when I read this headline yesterday when the news broke, I read it wrong. And I read it as, Disney could gain all of control of Hulu if it has a deal with Comcast. And I'm like, well, no shit. Because, like, they own 2/3 of it and Comcast has the last third. And then I went and read it again. I'm like, oh, they do have it. Oh, okay. So, I have more info on that. And so, they will gain total control of it in 5 years when they've bought out all of Comcast's stock that
Yeah.
they have in Hulu.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of money.
Yeah.
$9 billion.
Enough that Disney has to wait a little bit.
Yeah,
That means it's a lot
like,
of
well, we just bought Fox, so
Yeah.
it's just a picture of Bob Iger pulling out his pockets.
You know it's a lot of money when Disney's like, we're gonna wait a little bit.
So they'll be buying out Comcast over the next 5 years, and that'll be a cost of $9 billion. But Comcast still has an option to terminate in 3 years if it doesn't want to do its licensing deal.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why it would, because it's making $9 billion, and I doubt it's getting that in revenue over the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Like, just through the site in general.
Yeah.
And, of course, it's thinking it's going to do its own streaming. NBC is going to do their own streaming service.
Yeah.
Which is just fucking just added to the fucking pile.
No shit.
You know what I mean?
No shit.
But, so then you would assume that Disney Plus will have all of its, like, hyped Disney content on there.
Yeah.
And then Hulu will probably be a lot more Fox properties
Yeah.
that they've acquired, and maybe the more adult-oriented stuff. But other than that, like, I don't know what else. If everyone pulls out, well, everyone else, I guess, pulls out of that, including, like, the sub-channels of each one, like NBC and stuff.
Yeah.
I wonder what Hulu would actually have on it. It'll have the Fox stuff and ABC
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
then
I don't know really what else.
I don't know what
really-
cable channels or what
Yeah,
under
oh
what
yeah, because there
banner.
is because they do have like those home and garden things on there, and
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
I can't remember what broadcasting company owns what cable channel, so that would be interesting to see.
Yeah.
But then again, if you do like Hulu, I think you're going to get a lot of kind of the same still kind of stuff, because ESPN, I think, would probably be on Hulu, because now they do live sports.
Yeah.
Disney owns ESPN.
Yeah.
So that could be a plus. Mm-hmm. And it'd probably also bundle it with Disney Plus as well.
That'd be nice.
So you could have 2 streaming services for one price.
Yeah.
And also now Spotify is bundled with Hulu.
Yeah.
Do you have that?
I don't... Well, Molly has all of it, so I'm
Oh.
sure she has it. I think she has like the Hulu and the Spotify subscription.
I have, I think they bundle it for like $15 a month, and it's like a Hulu and Spotify premium account all under one payment. I don't even know if it's $15.
There you go.
13.
Just add Disney Plus and make it even 20.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty sweet deal. Disney
Yeah.
Plus is only like $7.
No shit.
What the fuck? How are they doing that? Don't they know they gotta pay for this Comcast buyout?
Yeah. Come on. They need the money. Disney needs more money.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, at the end of the year, I'm gonna totally forget about this, but at the end of the year, I would love to see somebody like mock up like what Disney made as an income and what their total like payouts were for all of these things.
Probably barely anything.
They would have to break even, right? Because I mean, I'm talking about like stuff coming in from the parks and all that stuff too. I have no idea how to find that information, but I suppose a Google search.
There you go.
My lovely Google Home.
Get back to us.
Yeah, for sure. But what do you think about this? Because it's like just about a monopoly at this point.
Yeah, I know. It's funny because like it seems like everything is trying to develop their own streaming service, that now every like single entity wants to become its own streaming service, that we're almost regressing back to cable days.
Yeah.
Where now we're paying for a multitude of channels as opposed to just one thing that can have a whole bunch of stuff.
Right. I mean, it still technically is like an a la carte system.
Oh yeah.
So it's I think a little bit better.
Yeah, but yeah, it's better in the sense that now you can watch things on demand as opposed to have to wait for everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, now we're getting to the point now where everyone's kind of catching on, where it's like, well, I don't want to do my streaming service. So now you're just adding on to the bundle of like things, like if you want to keep up to date on everything, you have to buy it outright.
Yeah, wholesale. Yeah. It's too much. Did you listen to the last Credits Due with their extra credits episode? Because they were kind of talking about like just streaming services, even for like games and stuff.
Yeah, they were talking. It was mostly about games, but yeah, that would be weird too, to like be part of a subscription service and not have to own the actual game.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that would be more towards people that play multiplayer, and I'm not a big fan of playing multiplayer.
I know, and like I was listening to that, and they had a lot of good talking points about that, especially Tyler, who like is a game creator.
Yeah.
And Dinosaur Neil that's the podcast he's on as well. He also had a good talking points. I was surprised how much Tyler was in favor for. I thought he'd be like dumping all over it, but then he made some good points of like, if you can get on there and you have this like umbrella of things like kind of just like shilling out for you, you can have like a ton more eyes on your product than you ever did before.
Yeah, it'd be like Netflix. Like Netflix is able to put out a whole bunch of projects from smaller people, where like major companies will only really focus on like blockbusters or like filmmakers that have a name to them. Netflix has so much shit they don't really need to care.
Yeah, for
sure. So like if we do the same thing with games, where like a really small named game developer could put some stuff out on a streaming service and people would have more of an opportunity to play it.
Yeah. But I guess if you're like somebody like me, like I'm not a huge gamer anyway. I do like to play like the AAA titles that come out and experience this like amazing achievement of whatever. But then like that's like one $50 purchase that I will play probably all year.
Oh yeah.
And if it is, so I don't know how much that like a gaming streaming service would be, if it'd be like $15 a month or whatever.
Yeah.
So like I would still be saving money just buying my one game a year.
I know. That's how I felt. Like I think I did that PS Now or whatever. It's like that subscription service where you could play like older like PS2 and PS3 games.
Yeah.
But even then I would be like, I get stuck on one game and just play that, and I'm like, I'm paying a subscription for a thing that I'm only playing one game on.
Yeah.
Why don't I just try and find a way to buy that game?
Yeah, or get an emulator or something like that. So yeah, there's a weird tangent, but I like where it went.
Yep.
Fans of Rick and Morty,
Heyo.
season 4 is on the horizon, set for a November possible release.
Sweet.
Unless Dan Harmon just wants to troll the world, which he probably will.
Up yours.
And my last bit of news, JT, Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
my favorite show.
You talk about it. I think you're starting to talk about it more than I am.
Yeah, it's fucked up, right? Well, this one it made me chuckle. So there's a petition calling for season 8 remake with new writers on change.org. And when that news came out, let me finish my news and then you can go on a rant of how this stupid it is, because I'll agree with you. But so there's a change.org petition. At the time of them writing that article, which I think was a day ago or 2 days ago possibly, it had 17,000 signatures. I looked up what it is today, and it's 117,000 plus signatures for a remake of season 8 of Game of Thrones. So now you have the floor.
There's literally nothing that anyone can do to appease you. I bet all of those 117,000 signatures have a different thing in mind for how they think the whole series should end.
For sure.
So no matter what, you're probably going to get another petition if this fucking thing comes out.
Yeah.
I said before, I don't think it's perfect. But, like, from the last episode, where I feel like a lot of the outrage is coming from, I think it's gotten better.
Okay.
I liked the last episode a lot.
We got one more, right?
Yeah, just one more after that. The last one is next week, or I guess this coming weekend. But, yeah, and a lot of the outrage I've been hearing is just like, they would never do that. Or it's like, how the fuck do you know? What,
This universe seems so random.
Did you go to school with this person? Like, you're fucking... And like, all the things that they try and bitch about, like, it's been laid out for a good chunk of... There's been theories that this was going to happen before it happened. And now it's happened, and they're like, well, no! Or dude, there's been shit out there for it. And just like how... different characters where they've ended up and how certain characters died in this last one, where it was like, that wasn't epic enough or that wasn't fitting enough, where I'm like, hey, fucking shit happens. Some people just don't get this big epic send-off.
Yeah.
But they like act like it's like, fucking, that's not how I would have, that's not how they should have went down, where I'm like, fuck you.
I think can't please anyone, it seems. Especially like recently in the last like 15 years, everyone just hates everything.
I feel like how a lot of the characters bit the dust in this last episode I thought was pretty fitting, and I would not go back and change it. I think this last episode I think was what was kind of like the shot of adrenaline the show needed to really ramp up to their finale, which their finale I'm really looking forward to now that they've completely shaken up everything.
Okay.
Where you're like, oh, now how is this gonna play out? But no, I really dug it, and is it rushed? Yeah, but they were probably told by HBO end this in 2 years.
Yeah.
And then what can you really say after that?
Yep.
And like someone I listened to a podcast, someone brought up a good point where it's like, okay, well if they do try to make it fitting, can you really sit through another, like, 6 or 7 seasons of Game of Thrones?
Right.
Like, I think it's at a point now where just...
end it while it's on top.
Yeah, just take as much as you can, try it and make it make sense, and try and end it in a fitting way. And I think the last episode definitely put it in a place where it could be a very Game of Thrones-y ending that I'm looking forward to see where they go.
Good. Optimistic, JT.
Yeah.
Very good. That's what I like to put into the world. A little bit of optimism.
Exactly. So all you fucking fanboys that think you know better can go shut the fuck up.
Very good.
Literally, I've not... There are like a few things here and there where I was like, you're kind of rushing that. But beyond that, there's so many people that are... Their only argument is... that character wouldn't do that. Like, you don't know the character. You don't know these people. They're fictional people.
Yeah. I know, man.
And I don't think anyone did anything that they would never do. It's just like, oh, they've done so much up to this point. Why did they do this all of a sudden? Because they're a fucking fictional person that a person wrote.
Yeah. That's right. Good input, JT. Good input. But that's all my news.
All right.
You got anything to dogpile more on those?
Let's see if there's anything else I can get pissed about.
I'm trying to look up the thing that I thought about just before, and now I'm having a very hard time finding it.
Well, what the fuck, Troy?
I know, man. Oh, well.
Let's see here. Troy, that Snowpiercer TV show.
Yeah, I forgot it was a thing.
I forgot it was a thing, too. But apparently they've been having a troubled production with it, but they're expected to come out with it in 2020, and I guess they have enough faith in it that it's scheduled for a season 2 already.
Oh.
So
wait, it wasn't already out?
No. The Snowpiercer TV show, yeah, it's not out yet. They're still in production, but I guess it was harder to film than they anticipated.
So let's do another one.
Yeah.
And I thought I saw too that it switched networks from TNT to go to TBS.
Oh, it did it? I didn't see that.
Like in a headline, I was just skimming through, but I didn't know much about it, so I didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So, cool.
Well, Troy, the nominations for the MTV TV and Movie Awards came out, and I didn't bother to look up all of the things.
Okay.
But there was one headline that came up where, in particular, the category of Best Fight has the match from WrestleMania 35 between Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, and Ronda Rousey.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. That's very interesting.
Yes.
Like, it's a weird curveball for an MTV to...
I know. It's like, whoa, man.
Oh, whoa, man. I mean, what else would be in that category?
Actually, I have the category. Let me look up the category then. For Best Fight, we have Avengers Endgame, Captain America versus Thanos. Captain Marvel versus Minerva.
Okay.
Game of Thrones, Arya Stark versus the White Walkers.
Sure.
RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg versus Inequality.
I hope that wins.
And WWE WrestleMania, Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey, and Charlotte Flair.
What? That runs the gamut of a lot of different entries.
A lot of shit.
Well, Captain America versus Thanos, I would assume would win.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't know. These kids these days, they're pretty unpredictable.
I'll tell you what. And Captain Marvel versus Minerva?
Yeah.
Did I watch a different movie?
I don't know. Who was Minerva?
I don't know. Well, whatever. I don't fucking know.
Well, Troy, we talked about Game of Thrones and how people are bitching about how they need new writers and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they could fuck up Star Wars next.
All right, let's hope.
Because the next Star Wars film will be by the creators of Game of Thrones.
Great.
Yes.
The current creators or previous creators?
No, the current. They're the same creators throughout.
Oh, well, are they?
Yeah.
I thought they got new ones on this last season.
No, they're the same ones, just they don't have like
the spine of George R.R. Martin.
Yeah, George R.R. Martin was kind of more of a guiding light through like the seasons that involve the books, and now that they're off book, I think they're kind of steering themselves.
Got it.
But so yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll
see what they do with that.
We will.
I don't hate them as writers. Like I just feel like a lot of the shit they're doing.
Like you're piggybacking on this again.
This just seems like a lot of the shit they're doing is they're being forced to rush certain things.
It's weird that you say they're rushing it, even though they had like a year off to like write it.
Yeah, well, no, I think it was a year off to film it because they had to wait because it takes place in winter. They have to like film everything in the snow.
Oh.
Yeah, like everything has to be snowy.
Okay. Got it.
So, there you go.
Oh, shove that up your snowy ass.
Troy, I haven't been playing a lot of Mortal Kombat. I want to get back into it, but I've just been busy.
Okay.
But
there's
apparently going to be a Mortal Kombat movie in the works.
Oh my god.
And apparently going to be produced by James Wan.
James Wan?
Yeah.
Director of Aquaman?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So what do you think
Director
about that,
of The
Troy?
Conjuring?
The Conjuring?
Did he do The Conjuring?
I think so.
Great.
I think he was initially known for doing Saw.
Yes. Very good. Yeah, sounds good. I mean, I guess he would have like the spooky otherworld kind of vibe down in his James Wan style. We can see how he can do action from Aquaman.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. The last big CG battle was a big kind of cluster F, but
yeah,
there was some good like that whole Grease like chase scene was pretty well shot.
Yeah,
that was pretty good. Yeah, I'd be looking forward to that.
All right, maybe this could be the next best video game movie. Who knows?
Maybe
beating the last Mortal Kombat movie is the best video game movie ever.
If you're talking to Dinosaur Neil, that's correct. I can never forget that friggin' tweet or some Facebook post that Dinosaur Neil put up. He's like, "What do you mean Mortal Kombat Annihilation has a 7% on Rotten Tomatoes?" I think they meant to say 7,000%.
Just for Sindel's acting alone.
That movie is total hog shit, but I still kind of like it. But it's still not as good as the Mortal Kombat 1. And even though that's not all that good either.
Yeah.
But I'd be looking forward to like a relaunch of it, like taken like fairly seriously with a decent budget.
Yeah.
That Mortal Kombat movie looks like it has like a TV budget for one episode. Very good.
My last bit of news, Troy. I think I brought up a long time ago, but it's a big thing in Hollywood when certain films beat other films in terms of box office.
Yeah.
That the film director or creator tends to tip the cap.
Yeah.
To the one that has beaten it, and James Cameron has followed in that line by making a picture of a giant A sinking the Titanic.
Very good.
It looks weird.
Good job, Jim.
Like, it's like a giant A that looks like it's growing out of the ocean and then just kind of pushing the Titanic up so it sinks. Where it's just... Alright, yeah, let's pay homage to all these people that died. Yeah, let's not focus on the event. Let's focus on my movie.
Yeah.
Like, my movie was a bigger deal, so let's pay homage to that.
I heard about that. They still have to topple one more movie of Jim Cameron's.
Yep. Yep, they got to beat those big blue monkeys.
That's right. Actually, I just remembered something that I wanted to bring up. If you were done with your news,
that's all my news.
There was a rumor on the latest episode of the Weekly Planet of what the WandaVision show is going to be.
Yeah.
And it sounds interesting. It has turned me around kind of on what I would think of it. So the rumor was from an anonymous source.
Uh-oh.
So this could be completely wrong.
Grain of salt.
But he said that he is a bartender in Hollywood at a place where a lot of Hollywood types go to drink and then get loose lips and start chatting.
Yeah.
So, with that...
Oh, I thought this is the synopsis for WandaVision. I was like,
It
what?
is. No.
No.
So, yeah.
Vision is a bartender in Hollywood?
It's totally changing the script. But because Scarlet Witch has like reality altering powers,
Yeah.
every single episode is going to be made as like a sitcom from a different decade, featuring Scarlet Witch and Vision, them like living together.
Oh shit.
So like now that Vision is dead, she would like resurrect him and like live a happy life with him in like a different decade of a sitcom. So it'd be like a 50s sitcom, 60s, 70s, 80s, and like a 90s.
Oh, so we're just watching a woman slowly
Deteriorate and be sad.
Into,
Yeah.
we're laughing at this woman just go completely insane because she lost the love of her life.
Yes.
Sweet.
Yeah. Set to a fun premise. And I also heard that it could possibly integrate some of Tom King's Vision run, which is also dour and a bit depressing, where Vision is kind of lonely, so he builds himself a wife and kids.
Yeah.
And then progressively through that series, they get murdered or die. And he recollects like memories of him being with the Scarlet Witch in a past life. So if all of those are folded into each other, this looks like it could be the weirdest, saddest, possibly best thing I've ever could imagine that it could be. So
Well,
take that
I'm
with
interested.
a huge grain of salt.
I'm interested.
But it had me more interested than
Yeah.
I ever thought I could ever be.
Yes.
So there you go. That's my last bit of news.
All right. Well, I do have some bits, Troy.
Oh, shit.
I do have some bits. So let's keep this sad train rolling, shall we? With a little bit of Neil's bits. Pass me one of those
People
Budweiser.
dying,
Troy.
it's the
Got
pits. Please stay tuned to Neil's Bits.
Icy cold. Thanks, Neil. That was a waste of time. Well, everybody.
Oh, I love that we dump on it every time, and he was so kind to make it.
Well, Troy, there's been a loss in the wrestling community
Oh, no, not another one.
as Silver King passed away.
Is he
in
the
Mexico.
luchador? Okay.
Yes. Yep. In Mexico. In mid-match with Juventud Guerrera.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I think he died of a heart attack.
Oh,
And
shit.
he's pretty young, too. I think it's like 53, maybe?
Oh, that is terrible.
Yeah. But for those of you who are not wrestling fans, you may know him as the main villain in Nacho Libre.
Oh, okay. Like
Yeah.
the big, huge,
Yep. Yeah.
famous wrestler in that?
Yep. Yeah, that was Silver King.
Okay. All right. That's too bad. It's just like the movie The Wrestler.
Yeah.
Except we know that he for sure dies.
Yeah. Yep.
That's too bad.
Yep. So Silver King, rest in peace.
Yes. I wish I knew more about like Mexican wrestling to like know like who is huge down there.
Yeah.
I would assume he is.
Yeah.
If he
well,
gets
he was
like
in
movie
I think
deals.
he was in
and stuff.
WCW for
Oh, was
a
he?
stint as well. Yeah.
I never watched WCW either, so like I didn't know anything about it until like they almost were bought out.
Yeah.
Really. So there you go.
there you
But
go.
anyway, R.I.P. Silver King.
R.I.P. Silver King. Also, another name. I think he was 83. Tim Conway.
Oh, I did see
Passed
that
away.
yesterday.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of tributes to him on the not Mary Tyler Moore.
Carol Burnett.
Carol Burnett, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Show. That's too bad.
Yep. The main reason I know Tim Conway is my dad had Dwarf
on Golf.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. I think we watched.
We
it
watched
together.
that a lot when we found that video at your house. We watched it probably every time I was over.
Dwarf on Golf. Holy shit.
Like thinking back on it, it's so stupid.
Oh,
but
and very offensive to to little people.
yeah, for sure. Even his name being Dorf. But I would I'd almost like to see if we can dust that tape off and give that thing a watch.
Or see if it's on YouTube or something.
Oh, it's got to be on YouTube, you'd think, right?
Man,
It's got to be at least pirated. Not that I want to steal something from a deceased man, but yeah. So, R.I.P. Tim Conway,
Yes.
comedy legend.
Comedy legend.
Very good. That brings us to what is coming out in the future in a segment we call It's Done.
You know it's done.
It's done. JT, I got 2 trailers today.
I think I might have 3.
I neglected to watch one that looked like it'd be a popular one because I figured you'd have it and want to chime in. But it's fitting I have 2 because both of mine are the second sequel of something. Or I guess the first sequel of something, making it the second one.
Yeah. Yes, well, you go ahead.
All right. I have Maleficent 2 Mistress of Evil.
Yeah, I saw this was out. I did not bother to watch it because I did not even see the first one.
I didn't either. I was going to actually ask if you saw the first one.
I did not.
Aside from me not caring much at all about this, I think it visually looks great.
Yeah.
Disney's putting all their eggs in the basket visually for this one.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't care so much. I don't it's hard for me to even want to get into like their full-on remakes and then to get into like a spin-off of like Sleeping Beauty. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, I don't care. But it looks kind of like on the vein of like a Harry Potter magical type of deal. But with a witch. And it's got Angelina Jolie in it with very big cheekbones.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, this movie is not for me.
Yeah.
But I can see where it has its appeal, and it looks great.
Yeah. I've heard good things about the first Maleficent.
I heard that it definitely changed minds on that whole deal of doing these spin-off movies.
Yeah.
But still didn't drive me home to see it, or drive me to the theater to see it, rather. Yeah. So there you have it.
Didn't order you an Uber to pick you up.
It didn't. Nor or a Lyft.
Oh, yeah. I heard they're on strike now, so.
Oh, Lyft is?
Both Lyft and Uber.
Oh, okay. For what?
They're not getting paid.
Yeah, makes sense. 'Cause it's, I would listen to something where it's like a great service for consumers, but internally as a business, it's like a bankrupt idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there you go.
Now I listened like a whole thing on like Uber in particular. Like they would convince people that they're going to help them buy a car, and then they'd buy the car, and then they would be like, oh well, nah. So they'd be like so much in debt because they expected like this company to help them pay for this car that they're trying to use for their job, and then they're like, well, we can help you out. We'll make you work longer.
Yeah.
You can work longer, and then you can pay off your car.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, no.
And didn't they like charge like an exorbitant amount of interest on it too? So
Yeah.
you can never really make any money driving.
Yep.
Unless
pretty
you
much.
like drove 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Ugh. Sickening.
Yep.
The second one I have is a pretty big one, so I'll leave that to the end.
One that I found is the latest movie by the director of Hereditary
Okay.
called Midsummer.
Okay.
And it looks like this dude just fucking loves cults. Because it like from what I gathered, it's about like this girl who's dating this guy who decides to go to this festival in Sweden, and for some reason she doesn't go with him, but then he ends up living there and then invites her out to go visit him, and then he takes her to this festival called the Midsummer Festival, where it's like all these people like dressed in like weird white clothes, and they're like they have like maypoles and shit, and
Is it like looks like a based off like the Shakespeare Midsummer Night's Dream or something like that?
No, it just looks like a crazy weird cult.
Okay. All right.
But I don't know, it looks kind of freaky.
All right.
Like it looks like they're like kind of like dosing them with this drug because they keep drinking this stuff, and then they're like, "So what does this do?" And they're like, "Don't ask questions, just do it." And then it's like,
That's reason to drink something.
yeah. But
Drink this. It's not poison.
yeah.
Or
So I don't know. We'll see.
All right.
Hereditary wasn't bad. It's creepy as shit, but
Yeah. Wasn't my favorite, but I could see its merit.
yeah. Maybe you'll get it right with this one.
Maybe so. Maybe so.
The other one I saw, Troy, they put out a trailer.
Fucking fly in here.
God, look out, RV guy.
Keeps landing on both of us, and I just want to kill it. Anyway.
They put out a trailer for the next season of Black Mirror.
Oh, shit. I wanted to watch that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it comes out the first Wednesday in June.
Okay. Pretty soon.
Yeah, but it's only 3 episodes.
Oh, okay. Going back to the UK model of
Yeah.
doing 3 episodes a
Yeah.
season?
Yeah, which I'm not against.
No, me neither.
But-
if they're good, then...
It looks like they have like a pretty stacked cast in these episodes, though. Like this is the one that has Miley Cyrus in it.
I saw that the Mac Man's also in it.
Mac Man's in there. A weird scraggly Topher Grace is in there.
Sweet.
There seems to be like an episode where a guy goes nuts because just electronic noises are making him go crazy.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll see. I'm always a fan of Black Mirror.
Same.
We'll see what they do with it.
Same. And it's a lot less episodes to watch, so you can't just dig yourself a hole into major depression.
Exactly. We can actually binge these and do a show on them and not be like, I feel like I should put my head in a bucket of water until I don't feel anything.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So there you go. Black Mirror Season 5 on the horizon.
Give it to us.
I'm sure we'll probably end up doing a review on it, of course.
Oh, yeah. Why wouldn't we?
always do it. We always do it.
It's so good. So is that all your trailers?
That's all my trailers, Troy.
I do have one more,
yes.
and it's the It Chapter 2
It
trailer.
Chapter 2.
Did you watch this one?
Yes.
It is a movie, and this is the Chapter 2 version of it. Now we're with the adults.
Yeah.
This one features a lot of Jessica Chastain.
Yep.
And
Bill Hader in the background.
Bill Hader's in the background. Also, who's the other big
Professor X.
Professor X? Yeah, McAvoy.
Mm-hmm.
I almost was like Picard. So it mostly is like a snippet of one scene,
Yeah.
and it's Jessica Chastain talking to like an elderly woman in her home, and then just creepy things happen.
Yeah. Just like that part where she just kind of stares at her and smiles for just a little longer than usual was like,
Yeah, I don't like that. Or like when she like would go fetch tea from the other room, and then Jessica Chastain would just be like looking at photos, and you just see like something scuttle across a doorway.
yeah.
You're like, oh, I don't like it. I don't like it. But yeah, it looks the first one was pretty good.
Did you see the first one?
Yeah, I went
wow.
and saw it. I can't remember when. I know I saw it late. I saw it just like at home,
Yeah.
like by myself or watching a baby. But I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I usually don't really get into horror movies so much. I kind of want to see what they're going to be doing with the second one, because the book is nutso. Like, I can't even... Like, just explaining the book's plot near the end is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So hopefully they just, like, pull back a little bit and just make it, like, a sensical ending.
Isn't there like a kid orgy in the book?
Yeah, there's a kid orgy, but that's when they're kids.
Yeah, that's when they're kids.
And they do it so they're not innocent anymore, so they
Yeah.
can, like, kill something, or kill the creature. But then when they're adults, like, you find out it's, like, a parallel dimension that this thing is from, and it can kind of take the form of anything, and there's a big turtle somewhere floating in space. It's so fucking out there. Stephen King must have been in his fucking LSD days or whatever it is.
Fantastic.
Anyway, hopefully they restrain a little bit and they kind of just make up like a better ending, because I've never read the book, but it just sounds dumb to me.
Yeah.
So anyway,
We'll see.
yeah, we will, won't we? It too.
Yeah. I have it
Check it
scheduled, but we'll do It and It Chapter 2 back to back in September.
Okay.
So there you go. Be
Okay.
fun. We'll do an it extravaganza.
Oh, I like that. Extravaganza. Well, JT, that'll bring us into the tournament of random movies.
That is right, Troy.
Season 6 of this, or
Season 6.
season 6 of...
Must be the season of the 6.
Is that a song?
Is that a shirt? It was Contagion versus Misery.
Yes.
C1, Troy.
Misery? Did that win?
It was Misery.
Okay.
Yes, Misery took the cake. I was a little disappointed because I did want to see Contagion again.
Well, I did vote for Misery.
So you're part of the problem. That's
Yes,
what it
I
is.
am.
Okay, fair enough. But
People want to see that hobbling.
they want to see that. They want to see James Caan just fuck up his leg real bad. So we got Misery, Warm Bodies, A Goofy Movie, King Kong, Monsters Inc., and Alita Battle Angel in the tournament.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah.
We got 2 more first round matches before we get to our quarterfinals.
I love a quarterfinals.
And the first one of these 2 matches will be this week. We have a 2012 film about a man that goes to another world.
Okay.
And a 2013 one that is a horror film that kicked off a pretty substantial horror franchise right now.
Okay.
The 2012 one is the tagline is "Lost in Our World, Found in Another."
2012.
And I'll throw in another clue. We have brought it up a couple times in previous episodes.
Don't know. Couldn't tell you.
It is John Carter.
Oh, John Carter. Sweet. Okay.
You know, we've always brought it up as we thought it wasn't as bad as people made it out to be.
Yeah. I still hold true to that.
All right. Well, maybe we'll have the opportunity to explain ourselves.
Maybe so.
Well, it first has to get past this film from 2013 that could not find a tagline for, but I will give you the hint that it involves paranormal investigators.
Is it...
And you said the name of it already.
The Conjuring.
It is The Conjuring.
Very good. Very good.
So John Carter versus The Conjuring.
All right. Okay.
Which one are you leaning towards, Troy?
John Carter, I think.
Okay.
I think that's more my bag than a
The
horror
Conjuring's
movie
not bad, though.
starring Patrick Wilson. Not that I don't like Patrick Wilson. I'm just like, I don't care.
Well, we'll see.
We will, won't
John
we?
Carter
What
versus The Conjuring.
will the fans want?
And then we have one more
Ouch.
matchup after this, and then we can dive into those quarter-final matches.
Yes, indeedy.
So we get one step closer to seeing which film will be reviewed at a later date
Yes.
by us.
And then slot it into some random week slot.
Yep.
Well, JT, it's the top of the hour.
It is.
That brings us to The Wandering Earth.
From China.
From China. Suggested, or at least brought up to me by C Danger
Yeah.
last week. We live produced on air and decided we should do it this week.
Because I had nothing for this week.
Well, and it was just like an interesting premise on like how this movie was so big.
Yeah.
And I've never heard of it.
It was serendipitous.
That's right. The planets aligned. Jupiter
did.
and at least Earth.
Yeah. Earth used its weird boosters to push itself into a
right.
certain
That's right.
position.
So this movie debuted February 5th, 2019 in China.
Yes.
And the 8th of the same month in the US and Australia.
Ooh.
Heard nothing about it.
No.
I didn't see what its like theater run was in the US, but it had a budget of $50 million US dollars.
Okay.
That's it.
Really?
$50 million.
we'll talk about it when we
Yeah.
start talking about it more. But
For sure. Domestically, didn't make much. $3.8 million.
yeah,
Worldwide, globally, it made $700.8 million. 693, in fact, from China.
yes,
Rotten Tomatoes has this at 75%. IMDb at 6.3 out of 10. Goodreads, 4.1 out of 5. And that one random guy on IMDb had it a 5 out of 10, with his tagline that said, "It's all right." This movie is the third highest worldwide box office gross of
Yes.
2019 so far. So, JT, could you name me the top 5 of this year?
well, number 2 is Captain Marvel.
Yep.
Number 1 is Endgame.
Yep.
Fuck. Number 4 would be. I can't even think.
Hint,
of
it's a
what's-
kid's movie.
Hint's a kids movie. Fuck.
And it's a sequel.
Oh shit. How to Train Your Dragon.
Yep. You got it.
And number 5 is Us.
No. Number 5 is Alita Battle Angel.
Oh,
That's right. One of our possible winners for this current tournament of random movies. Who knows how the cards will shake getting to that one to the top. But we will see. Endgame update on its worldwide box office while we're at it.
Yeah.
$2.5 billion.
It's getting there.
Needs to make little less than $300 million still to get that number 1 worldwide spot.
Might be able to do it, I think.
It might. 300 million? That's, for a movie like that,
Yeah.
not too bad.
Yeah, there's not really. I don't think there's anything that's going to dethrone it coming up.
I mean, Detective Pikachu got a lot of notice this last weekend.
Yeah. But there's not really
But there's
anything
not,
coming
yeah,
out this
there's nothing
week.
really else that could really.
Unless John Wick just fucking cleans house.
It could.
No, it's not going to.
Well, I mean, it was still like.
I mean, yeah, it'll get
has the
people
same
to come
kind of
in,
audience.
But I think there's going to be more people going to see Avengers again as opposed to.
Oh, come here, you little stinker.
But
So yeah. So JT, do you want to tell me what happened in the Wandering Earth?
we are in the future where the sun is 100 years from expanding enough to engulf the Earth, and 200 years before it just completely evaporates and is no longer existing.
Yes.
So in order to keep the human race going, the United World Council, I think they're called.
United Earth Government.
United Earth Government comes together to build multiple engines or rocket-fueled things on one side of the Earth
Yes.
to move it to a completely new solar system that will take place over the course of thousands of years
Yes.
before we find a new sun to park it and pretty much keep going on from then on.
Yes.
And this is all fine and dandy until 17 years after this happens. I think it's 17, isn't it?
Yep.
We get into a scuffle with Jupiter, where we get too close to its atmosphere and we begin to get pulled into its atmosphere, where we would essentially collide and die.
Yes.
So this whole film is to try and figure out how the fuck do we get away from Jupiter.
Yes. I wish I would have wrote down the director of this movie, but it's essentially the Chinese Roland Emmerich.
Yeah. I don't know. This movie is like, my first note that I wrote when I was talking about this is, this movie is fuck science the movie.
So it does have like a lot of fantastical, like super pseudoscience type stuff in there.
Yeah.
But really, if you think about it, Is it that much more ridiculous than like Avengers Endgame, where you have magical stones doing things?
Yeah, but with that stuff, it's like that's magic. They're playing this up like it's science.
Yeah, I that didn't bother me at all, but I know I don't disagree with the argument, but it's just something that I can overlook completely.
All right, I'm curious on what you think about the ending, like how they figure out how to get away. Though.
I will get there because that I did have an issue with. But first, I want to read some things from the IMDb trivia page because I found these fairly pretty interesting here. So the order in which various international crews turned around to help push the firing pin in, near like a big quintessential part of the movie here, is the same order in which various nations arrived to help China in the 2008 earthquake.
Oh,
so they just had like little sprinkle of real life in there.
We'll throw you a bone in our movie, dude.
Yeah, for sure. You get a 1-second cameo. The story is based on a Hugo Award-winning novelist, Cixin Liu's novel of the same name.
Yeah.
And there are actually snippets of the novel that aren't in the movie, and that's going to come up, I think, in one of my other...
complaints?
No, it's in one of the facts in here, because I read it. It's kind of a spoiler.
I'll save it for... Should we do spoilers? I don't think people are going to really care. It's for free on Netflix.
Yeah, so here, this is the fact here. So many scenes didn't make the final cut, which made the story a bit confusing at times.
Yeah.
There's one point in this, I'm like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
But anyway.
I know, because it just make it seem like, whoops, Jupiter.
For example... The original novel mentioned there's a growing distrust towards the United Earth government among people as a conspiracy theory spreads, stating that the sun is not going to die anytime soon, and the whole Wandering Earth project is just a cover for elites to have a total control over the population. That's not in the movie. There also was, in the book, a plot thread going on about how the United States wanted to have, like, spaceships leaving Earth instead of having a Earth propulsion system.
Yeah.
And that it was a $30 million ticket to get onto these spaceships.
Yeah.
But it only had a limited amount of space because they're just spaceships.
Oh, yeah.
And only the elite could go on there.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Fucking America.
But that was nixed in the book as well, so they had this propellant Earth situation coming on. Mm-hmm. This goes on further as saying, this explains why the rescue teams carry weapons. Wait, I think I skipped a sentence. It doesn't matter. So anyway,
there's a lot of weapons in this.
Like the one guy who just has a war machine, who was like the Gatling gun on his shoulder,
Gatling gun,
and all he does is like shoot a wall with it. I'm like, is that necessary?
He like shoots out a window. And he does it for so long. I'm like, dude, I think you did your job.
Yeah. This one I also found very interesting. So originally Wu Jing, one of the protagonists, only agreed to show up in one scene, and I think it's the father.
Okay.
That is on the satellite.
Oh yeah.
But since he was the only big star of the film, the director changed the script and kept putting him in more and more scenes. One day of shooting became a week and then months. Wu Jing's pay for each movie is around $10 million.
Yeah.
After weeks of shooting, the director asked him that since the movie was over budget, maybe he wouldn't mind not getting paid.
Oh my god.
So Wu Jing loved the director and the film so much, not only that he agreed to not getting paid, that he invested his own money of about $9 million to refinance the movie. And many people thought that he was getting conned by the director at the time. But in fact, without Wu's name, the movie wouldn't have been sold into many theaters at all because he's such a huge star overseas.
Yeah.
That
he
this
looks
name
familiar.
I thought he looked familiar too.
Yeah.
And even though you watched a dub version, right?
No, I watched the subtitles.
Fuck, I think I should have done that. But more on that later.
Okay.
If the director was the father of the film, Wu Jing, the main star, is like its guardian angel. This kind of blessing rarely happened in the Chinese film industry.
Yeah.
So that's like star power that I don't even think Robert Downey Jr. has.
Yeah.
Which is insane to me that like these huge stars overseas, like that even includes like Bollywood movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like the US has no clue about at all, but they are raking in fucking mega bucks overseas that they have pulled to do this for an entire franchise.
Dude, Bollywood movies are fucking awesome too.
I wish I could watch, because I know there's some on like Netflix and stuff.
Yeah, me and Molly, we didn't watch. I want to go back and watch the first one, but we watched the second one of this like Bahubale, where it's like a 2-part thing, and you're just following this guy that becomes like the king of this like pretty wealthy part of India, and like, oh my god, it's so good. Like they'll just break out into song and dance out of nowhere, and they'll have like these fight scenes where like
I love that though.
and then they'll do like these fight scenes where like he throws like mountains and shit. Where you're like, good lord, oh my god, they'll have like a fucking stampede of bulls in a scene. Like, oh man, like those Bollywood movies are fucking awesome.
This also was a bit of a risk for China as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you noticed, but like in the beginning of the film, and I don't know if this is true about just like movies of China, so maybe I'm just speculating here, but it didn't seem like it had a ton of producer titles on this.
Yeah.
Like
one of them looked like the communist government.
Yeah, I know. Well, sorry, I bumped the mic. But yeah, I was like, holy shit.
Like there was like a production credit where it was like a gold statuette of like 2 Chinese men with sickles with a red star in the middle, where I'm like, did the communist government finance this film?
But yeah, so what I was going to say is that this was a bit of a risk because the Chinese movie industry usually makes more fantasy elements for movies.
Yeah.
And this was like one of their first like sci-fi ones that they're really going to get behind to try to push.
There's a lot of fantasy in this though.
Well, no.
Fantasy in the sense of how they, I mean, it's not like, yeah, it's science fiction, but we'll talk about that end.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but it's not like dragons and mythology and stuff. This is pure sci-fi.
Yeah, they play themselves off like it's science, but science fiction.
The director also has never directed a sci-fi movie before, and he's only had 2 previous movies directing experience.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so before Wandering Earth was finished, no one thought he was capable of pulling off something this big. And then I made the 3rd highest grossing movie of the year.
There you go.
There you go. So despite some cues that share similarities to Interstellar and The Dark Knight Rises, the score wasn't composed by Hans Zimmer. And it was Rock Chen who composed the incidental music for this film. I did think at a few points during this movie that I was like, that score sounds familiar.
Yeah.
And I actually did think of the Batman Nolan franchise, because it was like, like,
oh yeah.
And I was like, I wonder if that was like a placeholder and they just kind of like used,
bucket,
like took one beat out of it or whatever.
Yeah. I dare America to sue us.
Yeah, for sure. They'll never see it anyway. Netflix picks it up. One of my facts I wanted to try to find is how much Netflix actually paid for this movie to distribute it, and I couldn't find it anywhere. Yeah. Netflix being all stingy on their stuff.
Bitch.
So yeah, what do you? Let's get into a discussion of the movie then, because I'm out of facts.
Okay, let's get into it.
So, oh my god, I love you, man. So. The budget of this, $50 million US.
Yeah.
Seems like nothing, right? And
for the
scope of this movie,
yeah,
for like a Roland Emmerich film,
yeah,
of like, let's say Moonfall,
yeah,
you gotta assume
like at least 150 million.
At least. Yeah. And that's like a third of this.
Yeah.
But what'd you think of maybe the effects or what the visual style
sometimes
of this movie
it shows its budget and a few things.
Yes.
But for the most part, I think with what they had to play with, it looks pretty decent.
Yeah. When they used practical stuff, it, I think, shined a little bit more. Mm-hmm. The aesthetics of this aren't like anything you haven't seen before, like in a space kind of movie.
Yeah.
It's not like dark and dingy like Aliens, but it looks kind of pieced and scrapped together and kind of dingy.
Yeah.
But it's not like a slick movie like Passengers either.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's semi-realistic, but more sci-fi based.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it falls in between like maybe the new Star Trek films and Star Wars, somewhere in the middle there.
Okay.
Or maybe like a Prometheus or something like that.
Yeah. I don't know. Like this kind of struck me more like if you ever seen Snowpiercer.
Oh
Like, it
yeah,
feels
that's
a lot like that.
lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
a lot of like the outside effects are like the ones where it's big in scope, like a big scope. You can kind of pull out like, yeah, I can see that CG. But then when they get more close quarters and they do a lot more practical stuff, it's done a lot better.
Yeah.
But there are like some things in here that look really cool. Like when they do shots of like the Earth when it's on like when it shows it like rocketing through space.
Yeah.
Like there's some really cool effects with that. Like I like how it looks when it looks like Jupiter's pulling it closer to its atmosphere, and you kind of see like that chain of like atmospheres connecting. Like that looks kind of cool.
That was really cool, and I like too when it like kind of pans out and you see Earth traveling through space. That it kind of looks like a comet.
Yeah,
and it's like it has like a tail that kind of freezes in space.
Yeah,
I thought that was a really cool effect too.
Mm-hmm.
At times I thought it looked like a very good video game.
Yeah, I would say that.
But that's when I looked at the budget and the scope of this movie, when like probably everything at some point is all computer generated effects, and it looks like a really good video game.
Yeah.
Now, I'm like, that's not so bad if you look at the budget.
Yeah.
Like if this was like a $300 million movie,
yeah,
I'd be like, those look a little chintzy.
Yeah.
But like, at no point in this did it ever get like take me out of it like it does in like Black Panther per se.
Yeah.
Where like when they go into full CG, everyone looks like a big weightless rubbery mess.
Yeah. I don't think they ever really go as far as to like make the people very CG.
No, it's just the location.
Yeah. And there's like some instances where like there's like a truck that falls off a cliff, and like when they show it falling, you can see it's clearly CG.
Yes.
But yeah, no, other than that, like, yeah, there's some scenes where I'm like, I'm kind of curious how they did it, where like I don't think it looked too bad when they had the whole scene where like there's like a dust cloud coming up and they're trying to like drive away from it. Like that looked like kind of like a film you would see like with a way bigger budget than what this had.
Yeah. Overall, what did you think? Just like of the premise alone, was it like a ridiculous premise that you were just kind of taken out of it?
It's far-fetched, but I don't know. Like if a movie plays itself up like this is a thing that can happen, like they set it up right away where it's like this is happening.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'll go along with it. But then in different instances throughout the movie, like they played themselves up like they knew a lot about science and they were really smart about science, where I'm like, well, no, don't. The more you try and sound smart, the dumber you seem. Because you're already playing it up like this is a thing that will never happen and never be possible.
Yeah.
But they throw in small facts here and there where it's like, once we find a sun, it'll take 20 years for the oceans to thaw out. Or I'm like, sure, okay. But then it keeps doing stuff like that throughout where I'm like, you're starting to seem more and more dumb. Like you're playing yourself up like you're this super smart science movie where like none of this would ever be possible.
So like the most, well, I would say the second most ridiculous thing in this movie is its general premise.
It is.
Is that they have like boosters all around the equator of the Earth.
Yeah.
So the Earth stops rotating.
Yeah.
And then 10,000 boosters on the tail end of the Earth.
Yeah.
Propelling it through space. And they use all of what the Earth's resources to power these engines.
Yeah.
And then everyone lives not on the surface, but underground, underneath all of these thrusters.
Yeah.
And these big, like, huge cities or whatever. So it can take the entire population of the Earth and throw it forward into space to find a new sun to travel around. And it's taking 4.2 light years to get there.
Yeah.
So it's thousands of real years to get there. So it was kind of, once you fall into that idea that they just essentially turn the Earth into a rock, propelling it through space.
Yeah.
I think it's easier to fall into anything else, because that is the most ridiculous up top premise.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of fun, but go ahead.
No, I get behind that, but it was just like the beats it would take to bring everything to a halt to like try and explain like, well, this is actually a thing that could work, where you're like, just get into like, I already know this movie's dumb. Don't try and sound smart at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, just do dumb action. That's what I'm almost expecting this movie to be.
Yeah. And I don't think it ever really gets there except for like 2 points.
Yeah.
Of like dumb action.
I think that's my major critique of this movie, is that it feels like a Michael Bay movie that has no action. Like, they're just kind of hanging out. Like, there's cool stuff. It's like, imagine a Transformers movie where the Transformers are trying to figure out how to stop global warming. Where they're not fighting, they're just like, what do we do? Like, okay.
I looked at it as like a Roland Emmerich film, but it's got less action in it. But like, that could just be because the US market is like fully saturated with like high action movies, blockbusters all the time.
Yeah.
And like, this is just like a different taste coming in from overseas where they have like actual emotional beats in them. But even then, I thought some of those, it felt like pieces were missing, and I couldn't ever get behind some of those.
Yeah. A lot of this movie felt like someone trying to replicate like a US blockbuster movie, but like only hitting the beats that they're familiar with, and then completely missing the things that actually really bring it all together. Because there's weird scenes in here where I was like, where are we? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was the same way. Like that whole point where there's like an elevator shaft.
Yeah.
Like that whole scene. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
Where like some sort of elevator shaft is crashing down. There's got some guy stuck in there, and there's like gonna get smashed by it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, when that was happening, I'm like, did I miss something? How did we get here? What are we doing?
Well, no, yeah, there was a scene, but even before that, like, they do that whole thing where the older brother and his sister are just joyriding in that rig.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, is that police lights? And then they cut to black, and then they're showing like, here's some facility where it's like, oh, this must be happening at the same time. And then they go in there, and they're in prison.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, wait, those are those people? Like, wait, so this is later. There's no transition to they got arrested.
Oh, that didn't bother me so much because it was like they kind of set it up for a joke.
It felt really jarring because it was never like a transition to, hey, what's that in the distance? And then now they're in prison. Like, they made it seem like this is happening while what they're doing is happening.
Yeah.
Because they kind of pan around and they show this guy with white hair in a cell, and you're like, what is happening? What are we doing? And then they show the brother and sister in a cell where I'm like, wait, how'd they get there? Wait, was I just not paying attention? Did they get arrested?
Yeah. So, I don't know what year this movie takes place. I know it has to be after 2044.
Yeah, because they drive past like an Olympic stadium or something.
But I want to say that it's not super far into the future where this is like a super, like the year like 20,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
But, the point I want to get at is the steering wheel for these rigs are ridiculous.
Oh my God. I forgot about the steering wheels.
Dude, how is that any better than a wheel that you turn? I don't understand.
Yeah. Like, the way you steer this thing is you fondle a ball.
Yeah. Like, how? That is not better at all. And there's no reason that in the whatever future this is, that they could say that is better.
Yeah.
Because it still drives like a car.
Yeah. There's just like some things where it's like, it's weird because there's just like things they add where they're just like, I just want to do this. Like, they have balloon grenades for some reason, which becomes like a big thing at the end.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's just weird things like that, where like, that's what got me interested to begin with, where they had the balloon grenade and they have like the steering wheel that's like the weird globe, where I'm like, oh, this is, like, it's got like a cool aesthetic, I like it. And then after they kind of introduced all that stuff, they just kind of like rack on the brakes and they're like, okay, let's talk about all this stuff now. Or like, all right. Like a lot of like, I don't know. This movie struck me a lot like the movie Armageddon.
I got Armageddon vibes from it
Like,
too.
the beginning was like really fast paced and really fun, and like everyone's joking around and being like really funny, and you're really into everything. And then they get to the moon, and then it's just snail's pace, and they're just like, "Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Do something."
Yeah. And really, this movie isn't that long. It's
like
just
a little over 2 hours, isn't it?
2 hours and 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's it. So, like, I mean, just put it next to, like, any Marvel movie that's, like, 2.5 hours minimum.
Yeah.
I think this movie is pretty tight, but in that, I wish, like, some things were... I could have, like, actually used a little more tightening in some things, and then, like, expansions on other things. Like, I thought when the emotional beats worked in this, I thought that was good. I actually liked the bit at the end emotionally between like
the dad in the space station I thought was really good stuff.
Yeah. But other than that, like, I couldn't really get into like the grandfather and the grandkids aesthetic.
Yeah.
It never worked for me, and I didn't even really like the main actor in this. And it maybe
the brother?
The brother. Yeah. Like, some parts I did, but I think it's because I watched the sub version, the dub version.
Yeah.
Which I thought was the only one because it's auto-played as the dub.
Oh. See, ours auto-played is with the subtitles.
Really?
Yeah.
And I thought it was the dubbing was bad.
Yeah.
And I was like, should I? But at the same time, I'm like, I'm trying to also watch Macy at the same time.
Yeah.
And for me to, like, I would miss out.
You would not be able to read. Yeah.
So anyway, I'm like, I'll settle with this dub.
Yeah.
I won't even look to see if it's got subs.
No, my favorite part definitely was like the dad at the end, like the way that he played up. Oh man, like it kind of got me a little bit when like the dad was like, he was talking about how he promised he would see him again, and then he was like, well, you will see me, because he's driving into this like laser beam that's gonna blow up. Just look in the sky, you'll see me.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
I'll be the star in the sky.
Yeah, you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah, and then he's crying, but because he's in zero gravity, his tears
like the
are
tears
floating.
are floating out.
I thought that was really good.
Oh man, that was some good shit. Yeah.
And like
even though he's going to die, like he's still keeping his promise in some way, because you'll be able to see the explosion. That's him.
Yeah. I thought that was like probably the best part of the movie.
Definitely.
But to be honest, like, I really didn't get into the movie until they come up with the ridiculous premise.
Oh,
I thought that was like, finally, this is getting interesting, because before I thought it was like, I've kind of seen all this before.
Yeah.
In like US releases, like with Armageddon or like Interstellar.
Yeah.
Or like these kind of space movies and stuff like that.
And they do some dumbass shit. Like they do some shit where they try and like play it up like it's this big emotional thing, where it's like, no, you're just being dumb. Like that chick that blew up the starter.
Oh yeah.
She shot up that starter, and they're like, what the fuck? And she was like,
I know.
And she was like, well, you guys are you're gonna end up killing yourselves.
Yeah, nobody else dies.
Yeah, like, everyone's gonna die.
Yeah, you just fucked possibly billions of people.
Yeah. Like, she comes off as such a fucking idiot.
I know.
They're like on the verge of death, and they're like kind of scraping by, but they're dragging this starter through like this winter wasteland to get it to this engine, and then out of nowhere she's just like blows it up, and they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, what are you doing?
And she's like, well, you guys are near death, and I don't want you to die, so I'm just gonna get rid of it. And you're like, well, then everyone's dead now.
Yeah. That, I couldn't get behind anything that they were doing.
She was a fucking idiot, and there was a... Man, there was some... I thought there was some other stuff, too, where I was like, what the fuck is happening?
I couldn't really understand and maybe it's because like I was also trying to watch Macy at the same time, but there's like a chunk around that time.
Yeah.
I was like, what are we doing here? What is happening? What are the point of these people? Like,
Yeah.
why do they look like from fucking Live, Die, Repeat? They got the exoskeleton.
Those guys were
things
pretty
on.
cool though. Like they had like the robot exoskeletons that made them stronger. Like
Yeah.
there's so much in this where I'm like, I wish these people could fight something.
Yeah.
Like it felt like these people were just like designed to just like fight shit, but there was nothing really to fight. They're just moving they're just trying to get the starter to this engine to restart it so that the Earth can get away from Jupiter.
Yeah.
But then it's just like, no, we're just moving the starter. There's really nothing much else to do. We can pull elevator doors open real fast. And this dude can use his minigun to shoot open a wall. That's
Yeah.
about it. But it's like, fight something.
Yeah.
Fight each other.
For sure. Find like a warring faction of something just for a scene.
Yeah.
Just show how formidable you are.
You're literally just watching people walking around with MacGuffins, not using them.
Yeah, for sure. Oh shoot, I had a point that I wanted to bring up. It doesn't matter. I remember. So like, they were trying to deliver that that starter to these engines.
Yeah.
Because like thousands of them shut off at the same time, which you find out kind of why.
Yeah.
But then for all of a sudden they just start back up again.
I don't know. I thought it was because everyone else was kind of on the mission they were. And
Yeah.
they didn't do it. Everyone else did, but then it still wasn't enough to get them out of Jupiter.
Yeah.
So they're like, "Oh, this is our one last shot and it didn't work. We're fucked."
Yeah. Okay. All right. Then I guess I kind of assumed it was that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, it just seemed like
They were one of the more important ones because they were they were trying to get theirs to one of the equator ones, which is one of the bigger ones.
Yeah.
And then, but everyone else has started up. They were just kind of late to the party, never got to it.
Okay.
And then everyone got theirs started up, and they were like, "Oh, not enough. We're dead."
That makes more sense. So the big twist of this is that, which okay, I have a problem kind of with the twist because it's not really that inventive. So
No, it's impossible.
no, well, so there is the Earth traveling through space.
Yeah.
And its goal is to reach Jupiter so it can sling around its gravitational field to head it toward...
Armageddon.
Yeah. To fling it towards, like, Proxima Centauri or whatever the nearest star is.
Yeah.
So, there is also a space station, kind of like as its scout ship.
Yeah,
in front of it.
Yeah, it's in front of the Earth to see what in front of it is going to be a problem so they can maneuver it however they need to.
And so the people on that ship, the dad of the main character in this film,
Yeah.
is like one of the astronauts on the ship.
Yeah.
And they go into hibernation when everything looks good. And then all of a sudden, there's like the HAL of the ship.
Oh, God, yeah. There's even... I want to look up what the name was, because even the name of it was like HAL-like. It was like Moss or something.
I think it was Moss.
Yeah.
So it's got like embryos of like a ton of different humans on this.
Like the major thing throughout the whole movie is that like this dad is trying to do a bunch of stuff to save the Earth, and meanwhile the AI on this ship keeps trying to like stuff everyone that's on this ship into some sort of hibernation so that it's like, "No, I got this, don't worry." And they're like, "Okay, well, he's got it." And then they're like, "But wait, like, you're not really taking these precautions." "No, I got it, don't worry.
Yeah.
I'll take care of it." Where it's like, okay, you're acting shady.
Yeah.
Where then he wakes himself up and like some of his friends to try and like maneuver through the ship to figure out why it's being shady and like not letting them help the Earth.
Right. So what the AI is up to is that, well, we have all of these embryos from the human race on board, and we have a ton of different species of animal embryos and like a bunch of plant seeds on board.
And the records of all of human history.
Right. it's got everything of Earth in small form, in embryo form.
Yeah, pretty much.
On this ship, so it can be the one thing that goes through space to set up like life elsewhere, like Passengers, or like the end of Alien Covenant.
Yeah.
The only thing is, so it was a trick for the whole Earth to set up this whole fucking MacGuffin of propelling it through space just to throw it into Jupiter?
No, it wasn't that. It was that ship was the contingency plan, where if the Earth thing fucked up...
But was it, though?
Yeah.
Was it I thought it... At one point, I thought it was like, that's the plan all along, is to give everyone false hope, and then it gets to Jupiter, and it goes off on its own mission, and then they just hurl Earth into space, like a big fuck you.
No.
Or Earth into Jupiter.
No, they were going to do the thing where they propelled around Jupiter, but then right when they started doing so, that's when the engines fucked up, and they went into Jupiter instead. So then, whenever it was going to get to a point where the Earth was about to fuck up, then this ship's AI was supposed to kick into a mode where it's like, all right, everybody, go to sleep. I'll take care of everything, and then just lets the Earth die, so then they can jet them off to a planet where they can repopulate.
Okay.
So the Wandering Earth thing was always supposed to work, but if it didn't work, they had this to fall back on.
Okay. Man, I missed like just big portions of this. I saw all of it.
And I was reading the whole fucking thing. I don't know what the hell you were doing.
Well, listen, I had a kid that wanted to watch a lot of car videos on the internet. So, okay, that's fine. So while it's at the crux of the film here,
yeah,
where the Earth thinks it's totally screwed. Mm-hmm. It's getting pulled into Jupiter.
Yeah.
If it gets to one point, it's just going to start getting pulled in, disintegrating into Jupiter.
Like it just starts pulling pieces of the Earth off.
And they're trying to stop that from happening before it gets to that point in orbit where it gets too close and gets disintegrated.
Yeah.
In order to push itself away from Jupiter.
Yeah.
But engines are failing. It's getting too close.
Well, even when the engines start working, they're so close to it where they just won't work.
Yeah, the gravity's too strong.
Yeah.
And this is the point where you can see like their atmospheres starting to like merge into one another, and it's getting close to like, threat level midnight.
Yeah.
And so I'll let you explain the ridiculous premise on how they try to fix the situation.
So apparently the Earth still has an atmosphere. And this, I think it's like the sister comes up with it, doesn't she?
Mm-mm. It's the brother, because it calls back to like the balloons in the beginning.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, so the brother comes up with the idea that since Jupiter's atmosphere is all hydrogen, and the Earth's atmosphere is oxygen, and that oxygen is mixing with the hydrogen, thus making it, I guess, more flammable. We'll talk about that later. That if they find a way to shoot a controlled combustion source into that mixture of oxygen and hydrogen, it'll cause a massive explosion, thus pushing the Earth away from Jupiter.
Mm-hmm. Pregnant pause for reflection.
What do you get when you combine hydrogen and oxygen?
Water?
Water. Not a super combustion gas.
Well,
you get water. Or peroxide.
Oh, that's very true. So also Earth's atmosphere is like only 20% oxygen and like 70% nitrogen.
Yeah.
That's just a fact I know. I know science.
Yeah.
But regardless, so the plan that the brother concocts in this, it harkens back to a hydrogen-filled rocket ship, and he thinks of these balloons at the beginning, how they float and it's combustible and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And he remembers that Jupiter is mostly all hydrogen, and his plan is to do whatever, shoot at Jupiter, and it's going to cause an explosion, pushing Earth away to get out of its gravitational pull.
He does bring up that because there's oxygen in this controlled area, it's going to make it more combustible.
I don't know. I just thought because of their atmospheres were connected that they can get to that hydrogen that's in Jupiter to like push it. It doesn't really matter.
But I thought for sure it was like, the oxygen will make it more combustible. I'm like, no, wait, what?
Well, oxygen is combustible. Pure oxygen is.
Yeah, but not when it's combined with hydrogen.
No. Well, maybe. You don't know. You're not a super scientist in the future.
But then even that, like, there's no atmosphere on Earth. It's been traveling.
Right. Yeah, there has to be no atmosphere on Earth.
There's no absolutely. Yeah, it's a rocket-propelled rock.
Yeah.
There should be nothing to it.
No, because you even get to see what the surface of the Earth looks like. Technically, there should be no light in this because, like, the sun is almost
gone.
all but burned out.
Yeah.
And so one side of it should always just be a scorching hot wasteland.
Yeah.
And the other a frozen piece of nothing.
Yeah.
And one part is, except that there's sunlight so you can see what's going on.
Yeah. I love it. They have like D&D suits in here where it's like, if you wear this, you can't get hurt. Nothing happens to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like literal plot armor.
Yeah, it's literal plot armor.
I'm like, whatever. Every space movie kind of has one of those.
Yeah.
But like, it kind of like is at the level of like Snowpiercer, where like one side of the Earth is completely frozen. There's like whales that tried to jump and frozen.
Oh my god, that was. I fucking love that. It's like, hey, check out that whale. It's like it's in mid
breach, and it's like frozen.
It's like that whale had a bad day.
Poor timing.
That whale had a bad day.
My god. So anyway, they think of this plan, and honestly, though, this is like the one part of the movie where I'm like, okay, now they're doing something big, something interesting.
Yeah,
I'm on board now.
We're actually finally building to something, as opposed to just watching a bunch of people push a big orb through the snow for a long time.
Yeah. Like, probably half of the movie. Yeah. More than half of the movie, probably.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, where is this going to go? And then when they finally get their plan in place, they turn one engine, or actually like 3 engines, because at this point more people are helping with the project.
Yeah.
And they turn them into pretty much just a big laser.
Yep.
That shoots into Jupiter.
Yeah.
And to ignite the hydrogen, blah, 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 pushing it away. But then the lasers don't reach far enough into Jupiter, so they're like, oh. And I actually thought that was a good misdirect, because I'm like, oh shit, they failed.
Yeah.
And I like that too. Awesome. And being that it's a movie from China, I'm like, I have no idea where this is going to go.
I'm just going to kill the Earth.
I was like, holy shit, they're taking big steps here.
But they do so much shit like leading up to that, where it's like everyone trying to get into that point where they can actually shoot the laser, where I'm like, man, everyone's fucking up. Like they had, that one guy had to kick all those hatches loose underneath that one thing, or like while it's like slowly about to crush him to death.
How did that not crush him to death?
Exactly. I know. And then, like, the way that he got out was like the dude, like, just like had like the guy that had the rope on the other end just jumped off a cliff.
Yeah. So at that point in time, I wish it was like maybe that doofy guy making the sacrifice for this, so like the brother could live.
Yeah.
And so like he knew that he was going to get crushed by this thing.
Yeah.
But he still made the sacrifice to like save billions of lives.
Yeah. He's like kicking all the hatches loose. That's like making this thing fall closer and closer on him, because it's the only way that they can get the laser to work.
Right. So that would have been a cool, like, a sacrifice for the movie, and a character that, like, I guess you've grown to like in the movie. I never did.
Man, I don't want to be like that guy where it's like, oh, American. But it was like, because like everyone is speaking a different language, it's hard to like emotionally connect with people. Especially like, that blonde-haired guy was supposed to be the comedy relief, and like I was just like,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And it's just because we're like accustomed to a different style of storytelling.
Like I'm not gonna hold it against. I'm sure like he was hilarious.
Sure.
I don't know. But like,
I like how you said that, and immediately was like, no, he's not.
But he's literally played up as like he's the comedy relief.
Yeah.
Where it's like, wait, let's talk about that guy that threw up in his helmet.
Oh, I missed that, I guess.
You missed that?
Yeah.
There was like a part where it was shaking. I think it was like an earthquake or something. And there was like I actually kind of laughed a little bit because it was like this dude is like sitting like while like all this shit is like shaking and stuff, and like he's throwing up into his helmet, and you can see it like in like in the glass way, it's just like sloshing around in there. Like it's so gross. And then there's like a part where like he's like doing it, and he looks over and he tries to grab the other guy's helmet like sitting next to him, like, oh no, fuck you, and they're like kind of going back and forth between his helmet and shit. But then they come back and the guy's wearing the helmet that he was throwing up in, where I'm like, what'd you do with the pube?
Sick. Just poured it down his suit.
But I thought that was kind of a funny spot too. Where,
it was I missed that.
Yeah, it was just the guy like just like sitting there like getting sick in his helmet, and then he just like looks into his helmet and looks over the other guy and just like tries to take his helmet to put it on. That was actually pretty good.
So, also who I didn't really care for in this, the sister. She was worthless in this.
Yeah,
she did literally nothing.
The only thing she really did was just tearfully ask people to help.
Yeah. Just had like a callback to like the beginning where it's like, I learned about hope today.
Yeah.
It's like, ugh.
There's a lot of those like speeches where they're just like, we need to do this for the Earth.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of them.
Yeah. That's why it really struck me as like Michael Bay. Like I was expecting to see like the Chinese flag in the background of something where it's like, come on guys, get together for China.
Yeah.
Let's save the world for China.
Yeah. Whatever. It's just
no. Yeah, I get it. I like it just feels like a movie that they tried to rip off like those blockbuster American movies.
Yeah.
Where I'm like I'll give it credit. Like it is creative.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think an American movie would go to this extent of like.
We haven't seen Moonfall yet.
Yeah, well, that's true. Oh, man. Roland Emmerich's going to blow our mind. But, like, legit trying to... Like, I was really digging, like, the first half hour of this. Where they were building up, like, how there's all these communities underneath every engine. Because, like, the engines are kind of self-sustaining and, like, provide, like, an atmosphere underneath them where you can live.
Yep.
And, like, they were kind of showing a little bit of, like, how those communities work at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I was digging all that, and then, like, the guy that was, like, sneaking out with, like, the, like, that rig, like, all that stuff was fun, but it was, like, right when shit started going bad was when it was, like, started getting boring.
Yeah, there was a lull in this. Even when, like, one of the big action pieces in this was during that part, and I'm just like, I don't care about this so much.
Yeah. Like, there was, like, a cool scene that, well, it should have been cool when they were going up that skyscraper. But then it just mostly turned into climbing up an elevator shaft in the slowest way possible.
Yeah.
Where you're like...
And it didn't help either that, like, kind of everyone looked the same in, like, their own kind of suits. And I'm like, who's in danger now? I don't know. So anyway, we're at the near finale of the movie. Yeah. Their laser has failed.
Yeah.
The space station is now controlled by this... HAL facsimile.
Yeah.
And the father, the main astronaut in this, is trying to take over the ship, and he ends up doing so by just, like, burning HAL in that whole room.
Yeah. Like, there was that... Yeah, because he did the whole thing... Like, the minute I saw it, I was like, that's coming back at the end.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, he has, like, a Russian friend on this space station, and, like, he slips... a big thing of moonshine into his
vodka.
Suit. Yeah, vodka.
Russian vodka.
Hey, take some vodka for later, and then slips it in his suit. Where I'm like me and Molly's thing was like, I bet he's gonna need like a ship, and it's gonna be used for fuel or something.
Yeah,
but like, nope. It was this whole thing where he takes the vodka out of his suit and throws it at the fucking HAL computer and lights the entire thing on fire, all the embryos and all the stuff.
Yep. Because his plan is to get almost like a starter explosion going near Jupiter to have like a chain reaction so that the laser does hit it, so you have like an explosion from Jupiter to have their master plan come to fruition.
Yeah.
And so this is where you get actually the tearful goodbye, which I thought was actually really well done.
Yeah, probably the best part of the movie, I would say, for me.
For sure. And so he turns the space station around, flies towards Jupiter, it explodes. All the hibernation stuff he like jettisons off so they can, I assume, pick it up. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, he shoots all the people that are in hibernation out. And they're just kind of floating. We're like, oh, I guess.
I don't know how Earth could pick it up.
Yeah. Hey, Earth, stop on by and pick us up later.
Yeah, no shit. So anyway, he goes into like the path of these things, explodes. It causes a chain reaction to Jupiter where the hydrogen ignites, and it goes to push the Earth out of its gravitational pull so it can get back into its orbit to sling it around the planet and back into its trajectory.
Yeah.
So that explosion would definitely destroy Earth.
Yeah. It looked like the explosion was going to destroy Earth because it was a very big fiery thing.
It was an explosion the size of Earth that was supposed to just push Earth. But, like, if an explosion that big was jettisoning towards Earth, where you got to actually see some destruction on the planet, just, like, fucking everything.
Yeah.
That would have just torn through the planet and everyone would have died.
And they even bring up where it's like, once this happens, you need to be in a bunker very far underneath the Earth's crust to survive.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure all the main characters still stay alive.
Yeah, one was just in a truck.
Yeah.
because he was the main character, he didn't die.
Yeah. And then the two main characters that you follow, the brother and sister, just light off one of the balloon grenades and stay in that.
Yeah.
All right. Sure.
Yep, sure.
Like, they played it up where it's like, once this goes off, you need to be as far down in the Earth's crust as possible. But they have so many people that are just kind of wandering around in this fucking chaos that still are alive, that you're just like, all right, sure.
Whatever.
I guess that was bullshit you said earlier.
So it turns out all your main characters are coming back at the end. The blonde guy has a new fresh haircut.
Yeah.
And you're following around some guy who's supposed to be like, ooh, it's mysterious. It's the main guy.
Yeah.
The whole time. He didn't die.
Yeah. I know, they did the whole thing where it's like, he's not breathing. 5 years later. And it's like, oh, it's him. Like, oh, sure.
Yeah, you have like a behind shot of a guy with the same haircut.
Yeah. I wonder who that guy is.
You're not showing his face for the next 2 minutes.
Wonder who that is.
Yeah, and he ends up being like a big deal.
Yeah.
At the very end of the movie.
He's pretty much
with
got
sister.
his grandpa's job at the end.
Yeah. And there you go. And they're en route.
Yeah.
To the next sun.
None of them are going to be alive when the Earth actually does what it's supposed to do.
No.
Because it's supposed to take like 1,000 years.
I think it was like a total trip of 2,500 years.
Yeah.
Where
and
like,
then even when they get there, like everything has to thaw out, which is going to take like another like 100 years. Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting, like the way they set that up at the very end of the movie. It's like they'll be jettisoning through space for so many 100 years, and then the next 1,200 they'll just be on a cruise control.
Yeah.
Into this thing, and then for the next 700 years they'll reverse all the propellants so they have deceleration to the star to finally place himself into orbit around this star, where the next 100 years the Earth will thaw and it'll be just fine. Bullshit. At that point, the Earth is a wasteless rock.
Yeah, and their fuel is like rocks that they're like mining. How much of the Earth will be left? They've been using it as fuel the whole time.
That's what I thought. They're like, we're just using rocks as fuel. I'm like, what? For 700 years to propel pretty much engines for half the planet?
Yeah.
What is happening?
You're not going to be big enough to even hold all the people that are still going to be alive.
It's insanity. Yeah. Anyway, it's a ridiculous premise. At the end of the day, do you have fun with this?
Man, I wanted to. Like, I really enjoyed, like, there's a lot of scenes in this that I really liked, like how they, how the Earth looked, and like how like all the jet propulsion stuff and all of like the atmospheres combining stuff looked really cool.
Yeah.
And some of the action scenes, they looked cool, but I don't think there wasn't a lot of them that I was like invested in.
Right.
Like even at the end, when they were, all of them were on their own like little mission to, where they all had to succeed to make the laser go off.
Yeah.
They were all in such peril for each of their missions and they made it go on for so long where I was like, just do it or don't do it. I'm fucking done. There's so many scenes where it's just like, I can't reach, and like, I'm almost there, but I can't do it, and they're just like screens of 99% complete until laser is able to be, or just, they do it for so long where I was like, just do it or don't do it.
See,
I can't get into this.
To like maybe argue the point with that, I was trying during those scenes, I was actually trying to compare it to stuff that I would see in like an American film, like of the same kind of ilk. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't think they're really that dissimilar, but I wonder if it's just like the language barrier that's like having me a harder time getting into this.
No, like if they would have done that, I'm not gonna like dog on them for doing that. It's just that they had it go on for so long, where it's like it's like that scene. What movie is it in where it's like someone's falling off a cliff and they're just going and then it's just like where you're like, there's only so long you can go with suspense where it's just like, just fucking do it or don't do it. And I feel like they were so happy, they were like so trigger happy on the suspense where they made it go on for so long where I was like, man, I don't even care if the Earth goes away now. Like you're making the suspense go on for so long. Just there's like a breaking point you need that yet you reach where you're just at the point of not caring, and I feel like they go past that.
That didn't bother me as much. That wasn't a gripe of mine. I would say that I would recommend seeing this on Netflix. Okay. I thought it was like a very fun premise.
Yeah.
And it is like really kind of clocking under like all the blockbusters in time.
Yeah.
That like America would put out. Like I bet you Alita Battle Angel was longer than this. Not that I'm dogging on it. I haven't seen it yet. Fair it could enough. Be great.
Fair enough.
But I thought it was fun. So, and if you have Netflix, you have it for nothing.
Yeah. Sure.
I would say like a negative in it though is that maybe because it's from China, they hit different kinds of story beats that American movies don't. And it looks like it's trying to emulate like an American blockbuster movie, but sometimes it just doesn't hit those same kind of beats.
Yeah.
And then if you're a fan of subs, I think I would watch it that way. But if you want to watch it dubbed, I don't think it's the best kind of version.
Okay.
I don't think the voice acting is very good in it.
Okay.
The only one that I could get behind was the one of the astronaut father. Okay. I thought that one was pretty decent.
Okay.
But otherwise, like even like the main character in this, I was like, ooh, that's how you read that line? Like, it just seems like it didn't... It must have been like a rush dub job.
Maybe.
I don't know that for sure, but it just didn't seem like a not one up to my standards.
I was surprised they even had a dub. Usually, like when it's dubbed, that's usually the thing that pops up at first. But when me and Molly did it, it was just subtitles.
Auto-subbed. Well, shit. But otherwise, I think I did near the end. I had fun with this.
Okay.
And I think it ended kind of predictably. But hell, it's free.
Yeah.
So check it out. I thought it was kind of fun.
But hell, it's free.
But hell, it's free. So what would you grade it overall?
I do agree that it's probably more creative than a lot of things that are coming out nowadays that are just, for us, that's just like just a retelling of shit we've seen over and over again.
Yeah.
Like that was probably the most refreshing thing about this, is seeing something that had what looked like a pretty decent budget trying to tell a different story.
Yeah.
And that's what I liked about it. But like, I don't know, I feel like when they got to points where I feel like they should have ramped up the action, they just kind of rested on the fact that it looks cool. And they kind of
see that.
And they just kind of kept that going on for a long time, where I was waiting for something to happen. And then at the end, like I was kind of on the same page with you, where when they finally introduced that plan, I was like, it's stupid, but it's something.
Yep.
You're building to something.
Yep.
And I like this.
Yep.
But then when they got to the plan, like I said, I felt like everything went on for so long that they were just like, oh, is this suspenseful? Or I was like, I've been in suspense for what should have been 10 minutes now. And you're still nowhere closer to where you should be. Either do it or don't do it.
Uh-huh.
And like maybe they hit different for you, but for me, I got to a point where I was like, are they ever gonna fucking do this? Are they just gonna be in a constant state of I'm so close?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think there are things in here that I think are worth checking out, but I don't know if I can fully recommend the movie as a whole, so I'll give it like a decent C.
Okay. Even with the things that I said in like the positive, like in juxtaposition of yours, I was also going to give it a C.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good time.
All right.
It's so strange that this is the third highest grossing movie of the year worldwide.
Yeah. But I mean, like, in all honesty, if you think about it, like, you get all these movies that are like dubbed or subbed from us, and now you get this movie that's like yours, that's like, that looks, I mean, it looks good.
Yeah.
For what it is, it looks good.
Yeah.
Like, I would be all for it. Like, if we were a country that like barely made like these like big blockbuster movies, and we got one that's starring our people in our language, I'd be like, fuck yeah!
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, all props to China. Like, it shows like how big of a movie market they have.
Yeah.
Like, they are very quickly becoming like, I'm going to say not quite equal yet with the US.
Yeah.
But they are definitely, without a doubt, the second highest, for sure, movie-going audience, to the point where they can have their own country's stuff come out, be like minimal worldwide income, and still be like at a huge box office throughout the year.
I'll say they probably did more with their money than we do with ours.
I would say that 100%. Like, it's probably, their production costs aren't inflated like they are in the US.
Yeah.
So they get like more out of their money.
Yeah.
For $50 million, they made something like this.
Yeah. There's some beautiful ass scenes in this.
Yeah. So it's all props to China and this stuff. I would actually see, I'm not a huge fantasy person. So like, I wouldn't get into like anything like that. So, but if they had like another sci-fi outing, like a blockbuster or something to their ilk, I would like to see it.
Sure.
I would like to see more stuff like that from around the world, to just see different kind of tastes. Cause like the US is so getting homogenized that it's like, see another one of these.
Yeah. Everything feels so market based with the US now. Like, it's like, this works, so we're going to do this. Where I feel like if you get something from a different country where they're just like, let's just throw shit at a wall and see what sticks, I'd be more behind that.
For sure. I would be into the US if they did, let's throw shit at the wall and see what sticks.
I know, those are some of my favorite, even the ones that suck. Those are, I usually tend to like those more than like just the regular run-of-the-mill shit that the US studios make nowadays.
I know. If you're gonna do like just an IP that everybody knows, make it good. Like,
yeah,
not every single one of the MCU movies are a hit.
Yeah.
Like, well, like, all of them are pretty well regarded movies, but you look at them like, it's kind of the same as this other movie.
Yeah.
But when you take chances such as like Infinity War, where like it leaves on a huge cliffhanger and they kill half the universe, it's like, oh, that's an interesting choice.
Or we have a Jordan Peele now that's telling these different stories.
Yeah,
even,
for sure.
Even Us, that I feel like it didn't like stick its landing, but it was different enough where I'm like, yeah,
give me more of this.
More of this.
Something where it's just a different taste.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
I'm kind of glad now that like these single focused directors are getting like their own kind of visions back to where like you can have like another Quentin Tarantino coming up, you know?
Yeah.
Like you go see it because of the director.
Yeah.
Like a Spielberg, a Quentin Tarantino or whatever. Those kind of got lost in the last maybe decade.
Yeah.
Where like, yeah, it was a big name director, but they made like a movie that any director would make.
Yeah.
But now you have like visionaries and they make their own shit, like Jordan Peele.
Yeah.
Who's like coming up and making his own shit, and
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah.
It's like, give me more of this.
I know. Like, I feel for a long time it's been mostly franchise based.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like even like the whole idea of like going to see a movie for the actor is kind of falling to the wayside too.
Yeah, I think there's very few actors that would ever draw me to a movie anyway.
Yeah. I feel like there's movies, there's like actors that draw me to movies just because I'm just drawn to certain actors.
Yeah.
But I feel like in terms of like the general
The movie
audience, they
star.
never really look out for, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, even like my boss, like he's really into movies, and there's some times where I'm like, yeah, this guy's in it. Where he's like, who? I'm like, well, he's pretty fucking well known. I don't know. Like,
Tom Cruise? Yeah, you don't know who that
no, not
is.
like that, but
Yeah,
like,
I know.
there's like times where I'm like, oh yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch is in this. Benedict Cumberbatch? Well, I mean, he's pretty fucking big. I don't understand why you don't know who he is.
Yeah, and he's even done small stuff that I would think your boss would
yeah,
know of.
yeah, but it's just like people that have come up now where it's like, unless it's like someone that wasn't popular like 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Like, like it's kind of hard to keep track. But it's like, it's just kind of like the culture we're turning into now, where like the actor isn't the thing that's selling the movie. It's like either the franchise or the idea, or maybe now the director.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of directors that are like, I don't know, like you talked about that credits due, like Tyler brought up that Knives Out or whatever.
Yeah.
Or no, Ben brought up that Knives Out with like Ryan Johnson.
Yeah.
And he's got like a fuck ton of like really well-known actors in it. But
Yeah.
it's like the main selling point of it is it's Ryan Johnson.
Yeah.
Where it's like, shit, like who would expect, like he got all these fucking actors, but it's like, but Ryan Johnson's directing.
Right. Yeah. So hopefully
it's a weird time we're growing up in. But I'm digging it.
It's a hopefully there's like a bigger flux in the next couple years where there is like more creative projects out there.
Yeah.
It's like whatever you have to say about Jim Cameron, like when he has a movie out, I still want to go see it because his name is attached to it and like he makes quality stuff.
Yeah, he does.
So
Like even if the story's not up to par, like it's something he's the one that goes above and beyond, where it's like, I'm waiting for something to get invented before I put this out.
yeah, or he will invent it to do it.
Yeah.
It's like insane. Like Avatar is still the highest grossing movie in the world.
Yeah.
Because it had like this amazing new way to film things. And I think it obviously paid off.
It was one of the first movies to really utilize the 3D technology that was coming out at that time too. Like,
yeah.
That was one of the first movies I saw in 3D, and I was like, fuck it, every 3D movie's like this, I'm gonna go see it.
Yeah.
And then I went and saw another one, and I was like, oh, that's why.
Yeah.
Because 3D technology sucks, but he
Yes.
was the one that was like, I want to make this movie strictly for 3D, to where you're like, yeah, that's the only way to see it.
Yeah. I know. And he was, yeah. And then for a minute there for like 3 years, 4 years, maybe even 5.
Yeah.
Like every movie had like, it's also in 3D. It's
Yeah.
also in 3D.
Yeah.
And it was never as
It
good.
was never as good.
So
Yeah.
there you have it. So that's like a fun little tangent
Yeah,
after
you know.
to review a movie.
There you
But
go.
like, that'd be what I'd be looking forward to in the next coming years or so.
For sure.
So, is there anything else that you were into, JT, besides watching the world maybe careen into another larger planet?
I saw there's a sketch show on Netflix called I Think You Should Leave.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, it's probably one of the funniest shows I've seen in a long time.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think I've even heard of it.
It's produced by Lonely Island,
Okay.
and it stars. I should probably look him up, but this one guy is kind of forefronting it, and he did an episode of Comedy Bang Bang, and that I listened to where he just kind of like he was like promoting it, and I'm like, okay, whatever. But then I started seeing like people putting up things here and there where I'm like, man, this I Think You Should Leave is fucking amazing. Got to check it out and everything. And I watched it, and dude, it is hilarious.
Okay.
It is really fucking
All right.
funny. It's like imagine Tim and Eric if Tim and Eric didn't get up their own ass about shit.
Okay. All
Like
right.
he does just enough to where you're like, it's stupid, but it's so funny at the same time.
All right.
Like, one of the first skits in the first episode is it's this guy at a job interview at a restaurant, and it's like it's going so well, and he's like, "Yeah, I think I'm gonna call you later. This went really well." And he's like, "Oh, thanks." And he goes to open the door by pulling it, and then the boss is like, "Oh no, I think that's a push." And he's like, "No, it's a pull," and just stares at him like maniacally as he just keeps pulling until the door starts breaking. And like he just keeps staring at him, like you can hear like wood cracking and like the fucking the spray and like the like all the shit in the door just starting to break until it finally comes open, and he's like, "See, it's pulled." And, like the door's just fucked up. Like like everything is kind of like that. Like this dude's fucking hilarious. I think it's like Tim Robinson or something,
Okay.
but it's on Netflix, so definitely check it out. There's like a scene they bring in Fred Willard, and like they do this whole scene where it's a funeral, and they couldn't find their regular organ player, so they hired a new one, and he's like the circus organ player who pulls like those strings like, and then they fucking like, and then he fucking takes dinner plates and throws them on the floor. Like, it definitely check it out. I'm gonna hold on, let me look it up.
All right.
It's, I think it's called I Think You Should Leave, because I listened to like the Comedy Bang Bang for it, and like he asked him like, why'd you call it I Think You Should Leave? And he was like, well, when I did sketches when I was first coming up, I didn't know how to end them, so I always ended them with, well, I think you should leave now. That is fucking perfect. So they just called the show that. Yeah, I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson. Yeah,
Okay.
and it's fantastic. Like the sketches are so fucking stupid. There's like one where like a hot dog car crashes into a store, and it was like everyone's like, "Oh my god, who did this?" And then there's a guy in a hot dog suit that's like, "I know, right? This is so stupid. We should just all close our eyes and just like let the guy leave." Like, it's all good. Check it out.
Cool. All right.
And you'll be jealous of me, Troy, because I watched the movie Stan and Ollie.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Fuck.
rented on Netflix.
Total jealous.
And I don't know, I got a little misty with it.
Did you?
Yeah, like I'm not too familiar with Laurel and Hardy, but they kind of cover like the twilight of their career, where like Oliver Hardy is like in really bad health,
Yes.
and like Stan Laurel is like he's older, but he's like trying to hold it all together.
Yeah.
And like it's kind of heartbreaking because they're just kind of, there's so many scenes where they're like they're building these scenarios for themselves for later shows that they're never ever going to do because they're too old to ever do them, or like not even popular enough to do them.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like, it's like so heartbreaking because it's like you see them, they do like a cut scene where they're at the height of their career, where they're just kind of like talking through like this thing that they're gonna do later, and they're just like bouncing ideas back and forth to each other, where it's like, oh yeah, they're totally gonna do that later, and then it's like 17 years later and they're in the twilight of their years and they're still doing it, but they're doing it in a way where it's like they're acting like they're gonna do it, but they're never gonna do it.
Mm.
And it just almost kind of breaks your heart. Like there's even like a point where it's like Oliver Hardy has like a fucking heart attack, and it's like, well, I gotta retire now, and he's like, oh, so I had an idea for that movie we're gonna do later where I do this and this and this and this, and then he's like, yeah, we should totally get this guy to come in and do this for us. Where it's like they're talking about it, but they're like kind of teary eyed while they're talking about it. Where it's like, you're never gonna do it.
I want to see that movie so bad.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. Like, just see, like, if you are ever prominent in something, and to see where you will be, like, in 20 years when you're, like, not even that popular for it, or, like, you're popular, but you're, like, not what you were.
Yeah.
And you're, like, holding on to it for dear life. And they even do, like, a thing where they do, like, the transcripts afterwards where they show, like, what happened to them after this, and it's, like, Stan Laurel was like writing bits for him and Oliver Hardy, like up to like 15 years after Oliver Hardy was dead. Like he just kept writing bits for them to do, but he never taped them with anyone else. He was just like, oh, I'm just gonna keep writing bits for us to do, even though he's dead. Or I'm like, that's so fucking sad.
Yeah. Jeez.
So it's like, yeah, it's a good. I really dug it, and it's a cool way to kind of see like the backstage of like those shows, because you kind of follow them when they're like doing like these London show, like they're doing like a London tour.
Yeah.
To kind of get like their whole thing is that like this producer showed a lot of interest in them to do this movie about Robin Hood, and he's like, well. We'll see. We'll try and get financing for it, and then like as they're going on, they're just keep asking like, oh, "What about this movie? What about this movie?" And then it's like it's not
Never gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen. They're just kind of like latching onto this pipe dream.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, it's so sad.
Oh my goodness, I want to see this so bad. Got the disc for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's good. I would definitely check it out, and both of them are really good. Man. God damn it! What's it? I can't think of either of their names.
John C. Reilly.
John C. Reilly is Hardy, and fuck.
I'm gonna have a hard time thinking of the other guy,
but yeah, they're both amazing. They're both really good.
Awesome. Yeah, Laurel and Hardy. I got introduced to them really early, and I even follow like a fan page of them on Twitter.
Yeah.
Where they like post like snippets of like their movies and stuff.
Oh, really?
I really think a lot of their stuff holds up because they do like physical comedy.
Yeah.
And
I need
like
to do that. Like there's like they themselves play out a scene. It's like called like the doorway scene where like they're both waiting for themselves at a train station. They keep trying to check if either of them are here, and they just happen to look in the direction, like the one place that they could look to not see the other person, and they legit play it out for like 5 minutes, and it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. So like I don't think physical comedy ever really ages, especially if it's done really well.
Yeah.
And it's like set in an age like they're in like the Depression and stuff like that too, and they're always like kind of poor. And it's like self-deprecating at times.
Oh yeah.
It's like they're mean to each other, like not like Veep mean.
Yeah.
But like it's funny. They just get on each other's nerves, and I think it's still as good today as it was then when it was made.
Yeah.
And so like they were like some of my comedy influences growing up as a kid. And I would watch, me and Dinosaur Neil and all my other brothers would just watch that VHS that we had, well, my dad had, like over and over and over. And
this movie definitely made me want to go and watch some like Laurel and Hardy stuff, because like that's the way that they emulate them. It was funny enough where I'm like, I want to watch some Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Well, awesome. I'm glad it's got your seal of approval, and I'll see if I can fish it out.
Check it
somewhere.
out. It should be able to rent, because it's out on DVD.
I might see if it's on VOD or something.
Do it.
Sweet deal. Well, I haven't been into a whole lot. I have been setting up my raised bed garden outside.
Let's get into it.
I planted some onions and potatoes today.
Ooh.
And so Has anyone ever... Have you had, like, potatoes that you've had that you just forgotten in the back of, like, a pantry, and they get all nasty and looking?
Yeah.
I just planted those to see if they come up.
There you go. Try it.
I've heard that they do, so I did. I shoved them in a whole garden bed to see if I got some potatoes coming up. So I'm looking forward to that.
There you go.
Also, there is a channel on YouTube called Bon Appetit. It's like a cooking channel.
Yeah.
But they have pretty charismatic hosts on there. And they have a new kind of series on now called like Making Perfect, I think. Where they're trying to make the most perfect pizza that they could think of. And they split off in groups of like, what makes the best crust? Or what makes the best sauce? What makes the best cheese?
Oh, shit.
Blah, 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 blah. And so all of them try to make the best kind of stuff, but they don't talk to the other teams. And so they're hoping it all comes together in like a great final product.
Yeah.
And I've been really enjoying that because they have the most they have their channel's most charismatic hosts doing all of it.
Yeah.
And so it's fun to see them interact with each other because it's like real life shit.
Oh, wow.
And actually Bon Appetit has gotten so like I guess popular that they actually have their own streaming channel on Roku.
Oh, shit.
And so like all of their stuff that they're premiering on YouTube is already all on their channel on Roku, so it's kind of fun to watch all of it there. So anyway, check out the Bon Appetit channel. And another fun YouTube channel I would recommend you to watch for no reason because me and my dinosaur Neil found it randomly when we were sending each other dumb videos during our vacation, is this channel called Badlands Chugs, where it's just this big, huge black dude just chugs stuff. That's it. His latest video is that he chugs an entire bottle of sriracha. And he's got so many subs, it's ridiculous. It's stupid.
We're in the wrong business. We just need to find something stupid and then just put it on YouTube and try and make a bunch of money.
He's got like 250,000 subs.
Oh.
And all he does is go to like Sonic and chug a large soda for a 2-minute video. And he's like, there you go. And he's got some catchphrase. He's got some catchphrase at the end that's amazing. And it's so stupid. Fuck. Like, at the beginning of the sriracha video, he puts on fingerless gloves to do it. So check out Badlands Chugs on YouTube. Just for me, would ya? Oh, but
do it for me.
That's gonna be the show.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So JT, if people want to challenge you to Badlands Chugs chugging contest, where could they hit you up for an invitation?
Hit me up at Bucky for everyone on Twitter, also Bucky for Instagram, and Bucky for I'm on Snapchat. Troy.
You can find me at Troy to the Max on Twitter. Hit us both up at Review Pod on Twitter as well. All of our stuff is uploaded also onto Facebook. If you're into the whole Facebook thing, our hosting site, reviewpod.podbean.com, has been getting subs just as Badlands Chugs would get day after day.
Yeah.
So that's cool to see.
Get us them Badlands Chug subs.
But if you are listening to us on different things, such as Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Alexa devices, even. Also, Apple Podcasts, we wouldn't bat an eye at that. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, rate and review us there because a good rating there helps other people find the show. And if you want to write in, please do so at reviewpod@gmail.com.
Yes.
Yes, indeedy.
Yes, indeed.
Now, this is maybe future stuff. JT, on another podcast that I do, Charm Type,
yeah,
I extended an invitation for you and the lovely lady
I need to
come on.
I need to check with her, but I think that would be a go. We need to do it sometime soon.
Yes. Monday nights. Keep them open.
I will.
Very good. Very good. I would like to love to have you on. There's at least one person that would like to hear about that, and his name is Mr. Stapleton.
Okay. I'm sure.
He's big fan.
Big fan.
A big fan of your life.
I know. Well, he's good at hiding it because he always fucking gives me shit.
Listen, he has turned from like the most gracious fan to almost troll-like status, okay? I can't get away with shit anymore. He knows more about my life than my parents do. OJ, you're a gentle soul. I love you.
I love you, OJ.
But anyway, that's going to be the show.
It is.
What do we got coming up Monday, JT?
For Monday, since we're talking about a blockbuster space epic from China, let's talk about a blockbuster space epic from the U.S.
Okay.
And we talked about the probably last installment in the Star Trek series.
Okay.
A flashback for Star Trek Beyond.
Oh, okay. Going back to the
Yeah.
Star Trek. Very good.
There's a lot of space ones I could have picked from, but I was trying to find one that's more blockbuster-esque.
Okay.
And since we might do something Star Wars based in the future, I didn't want to do any of those.
Okay.
So,
Very good.
yeah, let's do Star Trek Beyond.
Very good. Very good. So check that flashback review out for Monday.
Yeah.
And what do we got coming up next week?
So next week, since the week after next, we're going to be possibly doing Brightburn.
Mm-hmm.
And Godzilla King of Monsters is coming out
Oh, my.
very soon. Probably the week after that.
Uh-huh.
Let's see where it all started. Because we talked about Kong,
Uh-huh.
Kong Skull Island,
Right.
which is supposed to be part of this universe.
Right.
We never talked about the first one. Let's talk about I think it's 2014. I think it is. Godzilla.
TBD. To be
Yeah.
determined.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk about Godzilla.
Okay. I could go for a rewatch of that.
Yeah.
I don't...
Old Bryan Cranston.
Yeah.
Fucking kick-ass.
That's right. Kick-Ass. Scarlet Witch. she's in
Scarlet
it.
Witch, she's in it.
We got everyone in this.
Yeah.
All right.
I think it's a movie that gets dogged on quite a bit, and from what I remember, I really dug it.
All right. Let's see what it's
So
like
let's
on a
see-
rewatch.
Yeah, let's see what it's like on a rewatch, and you guys give your opinions. Are you one of those people that hates it? Let us know.
Yeah. What camp are you in? Hit us up on the Twitters. Hit us
Yeah.
up on the Gmails.
Let us know about that 2014 Godzilla. I think
Yeah.
I'm going to look up 2014. I think it's 2014.
Sure.
It's driving me nuts.
Right into the show. We'll read it on the show and see what...
2014, I was right.
Ah, very good, JT. And see what the general populace thinks of this film.
Yeah.
But until we get to that, JT, I've been Short of the Max Extreme.
I am JT3K.
And we are off.